rent when I wasn't home. They covered all of that. It was huge. It was huge for me. So she could have found something like that, or her people could have. Again, I don't know that she's around the right people because she wasn't, resourceful enough to figure that out. But that's a shame. I feel bad for her.
Well, I think that's what the problem people have with this is, like, when I listen to this, like when I listen to her and Jill Zarin, for me, and hi, Jill, this is going to be pro Jill. We know Jill listens, and that's a positive. But like when I listen to Bethenny and Jill Zarin, for me, I was cringe when Bethenny was saying to her on air, now I want you to understand, we're not friends. I'm afraid you're going to start calling me wanting to hang out in the Hamptons. I just want to make it clear, we're not friends. This is great. It's great to see you. If I see you at a restaurant, I'll say hi, but we're not. That was cringy to me. This to me was cringe. Like, did you have the cringe factor of like, it's still a multimillionaire who is a smart businesswoman. I will give that to Beth. It's still, to me, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it just seemed like you were taking advantage of Raquel. And I have no problem with that. It's just, I guess I'm in your face. Like, I'm honest. Like, I'm doing this podcast for a living. I love what I do. I love my listeners. I've said I love my listeners more than my friends. I've gotten some friends mad at me over this recent statement. But the point is, I'm honest. Like, this is a business, and I don't know if I would do this for free anymore. At this point, 4 years in, I want to sleep for free. Like, it felt that like big bad corporation taking advantage of this woman. Did you feel that? Because that's what these listeners, a lot of them have spoken out. Not all of them. A lot of them are like, go Bethenny. And there's a lot that she missed here. Was this really, this furthers her own cause of the reality reckoning, which more power to her. It just seemed like a very slanted interview of like, it was all about the reality reckoning. And I have a lot of questions here that she didn't ask that she should have. No shade to Bethenny.
Well, to answer a couple of those things, she spoke a lot about wanting her to take responsibility for being a mistress. I mean, I don't think that was the point of, I thought that was awkward. I thought that, Bethenny shouldn't be the end all be all of let's air your grievances and your apologies for what you did, and, make you feel like you owe the world an apology for something that happened between a certain amount of people, right? I felt like that was a little gross and cringy because she kept bringing that up and kind of keeping her in that place of feeling low and down about herself. Instead, I think it should have been let her explain, maybe the actions she had and apologize once and blah, 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 and say how she feels remorseful about that. But then after that, it should have been completely about what happened on the show, how she felt on the show, the details of, kind of that she got into some of it about the producers and all that. But, to me, it should have felt more like, just facts as opposed to getting into, her personal feeling of feeling like a piece of shit. That to me was cringy. And also, yes, it did come off from a place of they were not equals. Bethenny was definitely above her in, in the way she spoke to her. Yeah, it was a little uncomfortable, but there was also an age gap. There's an experience gap. Raquel does put herself out there as being a little bit naive. She calls herself sweet and naive. So it's almost like she cannot fend for herself a little bit. And I think, I just think it was a natural way that they are two different people and they are not equals. So it was clear in Bethenny's mind that they weren't. That's how I read it. But it cringed. No, I mean, the interview with Jill. Yeah. I mean, I thought that was rude, but I think she constantly tries to separate herself from those women to let people know she's above them.
Yes. I mean, it's just, she loves this. She is in the comments clapping back at people. She has the typical housewives gene of like, she can act like she's above it all the time, but she needs to be in the press, center of attention, controversy. We're all talking about her. She loves this. Bethenny's not answering the comments on her other interviews. This one, she's literally clapping back. Like at every person, she's like this and that. She loves this.
Yeah, I'm sure she loves this. Well, she's the most talked about trending person right now. Every interview that happens, people are being asked about this reality reckoning. I mean, what do you think is going to be the next step here? Do you think the cameras are going to be put down and production is going to stop until there's some sort of a union created or back pay for people that feel like they were unjustly represented? I mean, do you think it could go that far?
No, because like you have like a Kyle Cook from Summer House who's like, you know, how whatever, how hypocritical of Bethenny, you know, if this was a real PSA, there would be no ads in this, you know, no, like Jersey started filming. We just had a major blowout between Paulie and John Fuda. Like, no, this is like, who has joined this cause that is currently on a reality show? Don't give me the names of people that are not on a show now that
Right. So
may not be back
I
on
think
one.
that is what is important. And I think the only thing that can maybe come out of this, my prediction, is that they will say that each show has to provide a mental health advocate. It would be, you know, standard going forward that they provide that service to people on shows if they want it, and potentially, you know, allow them to leave the show mid-series if they are feeling like they are being abused in some way, shape, or form. But beyond that, I don't see how people are going to get back pay. I don't see a union being formed. I mean, it is interesting. A lot of these people have become actors. They pretend that it's about their own story, but they're creating a storyline for themselves. So in some ways, they have become actors, right? But I don't see the new cast of the Housewives of New York saying, "Oh, I'm going to take a stand and not take my $3,000 I'm making," because they've just become famous. People know their names. I mean, I don't know their names, but you know, some people do know their names already, and they, you know, people are addicted to fame. There's nothing wrong with it, but you know, it's about how much will you choose. What is your number? What will you choose to do to be famous? And these people that have signed up have chosen to be famous. And obviously there is a line. You don't want to get sexually abused. You don't want to get verbally assaulted, but there is a line. And I think the line is going to always remain a little bit blurry because that's what makes TV.
Yes. And I have to say, like, being addicted to fame, I understand because I would have really wanted to be famous before this podcast. And now that I'm 4 years, this really is true. Now, if someone gave me a TV show, I would take it. To me, the only reason I would want, well, not the only reason, the main reason that I would not mind being famous, more famous than I am as the host of the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast, is it would just be nice, you know, Friday night in Sag Harbor. Like, I'm coming into this. I can do that at Tudo in my right, but like, it just for the ease of certain things like restaurant reservations, like the minor things. I have to honestly say, like, my entire, this really is hand to God the truth. My entire relationship to fame has changed because of what I do. Because I have spoken to, you know, they say after you do something 1,000 hours, you're an expert. I've done over 1,000 shows. I've spoken to every famous person from D-list to A-list to C-list. And first of all, most of them are broke as a joke. Most of them pull up for to the interview in a car that is falling apart. And here I come with my Louis Vuitton and my Rolex watch. I mean, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just saying, like, so you listen to their stories and you're like, they were controlled by a studio like this, you know, you don't own anything. And so once you really get into it, they're